Hey guys, Hammeh here, how's it going? We have hit 50k subs. Firstly, thanks so much for all of your support and all of your likes and views, subscribers and comments that have got us this far. I'm kind of pinching myself and really happy with it. It seems only yesterday that we were Hearthstoning earlier this year and about 4k subs and then getting involved in Overwatch and everything going off. So firstly, a big thank you for that. And as promised, here is, from your questions, the 50k A.M.A. So I've got this divided into about 5 bits. We've got a little bit about me, some of the questions you asked in that area, answering what I can. We've also then got Overwatch, of course, loads of Overwatch related questions, my opinions on that kind of stuff and all that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that. Then a bit about gaming history. Now I'll answer a few of those bits. As part of 50k celebrations, I was thinking of doing like a vid on my gaming history, but that could be half an hour, that could be 45 minutes. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Quick one, if you want just one big long video, I can do it all in order, or I can split it up into games and then maybe do lots or a few more short ones on each, but do let me know. But anyway, I'll answer some on gaming history. Then channel plans, a few people have sort of questions about channel content, where we go from here, so I'll jump into some of those questions as well. And then last but not least, some random ones, because random ones are always great too. Do forgive me, it is warm for the UK today, very humid as well. In other countries, they would have things like aircon. I can't have a fan on in here because otherwise it will blow across the microphone and get really loud. So yes, forgive me if the light is a little bright and all that kind of stuff. Righty, let's get stuck in. Firstly, Vinkor, a few people, when I said, yeah, ask me questions, as long as it's nothing crazy like my PIN number. So of course, Vinkor decides to ask, what is your PIN number? Nice one, right on the ball there. But first we'll jump into the About Me ones. So Riz Music, a few other people, Kaz Kaboom, Leviasin had a few things like, what is your background, a bit more about yourself, your name, where are you from in the UK and things like that. It'd be nice to know a few more of those kind of things. Someone did ask as well, is Hammeh your name? No, Hammeh's not my name is Craig. I live nearest London in the UK. I guess that's the easiest way of answering that. What is my background? It's kind of a tough one. I was like, what, you mean background behind me or sort of background and what I've been up to? I've worked for a bunch of years. I've had the privilege of doing some very cool stuff and going some very cool places to sort of see things around video games and get involved with video games. I've had the chance to go to E3 and Gamescom and things like that. So probably talking about that kind of question from Res Music there, what's your background? We'll probably jump into that one. It could be an entirely separate thing to this, so I'll probably leave that and we'll find a better way of chatting that in some way or another. Leviasin asks, how and why did you start on YouTube? It's a really easy one. So some other people have also asked why Failcraft. I can deal with both of those in one go. This channel was Failcraft Casts, and I started doing Fail StarCraft possibly 4 years ago. I did some videos, I stopped. You can actually, if you go to the YouTube channel, if you go on desktop and you go and you sort by videos first published or oldest first. If you go to the page of all the videos, you can see my very first videos there. They're all still live. I haven't like hidden them or anything. And you can see that they're effectively me playing StarCraft, and I put text annotations over the top of everything. I wasn't using a microphone. There was no editing, no anything like that. I literally just played games, then I analysed them. When StarCraft 2 first came out, I was playing through the beta of that and then trying to sort of analyse my own play. Kind of ties into one of my inspirations as well in terms of YouTube. You know, I'd watch YouTube. I don't know if you're familiar with Day 9. I can certainly say Sean Plott, amazing YouTuber, loved watching his stuff years ago and his approach to StarCraft, and I was trying to take his approach to StarCraft and sort of do it myself and work through it, but obviously I had not a shred of the skill in StarCraft or the knowledge that he does. But yeah, so in terms of how and why did I start on YouTube, that's it. You can go see those videos. They're probably not relevant anymore, but you can certainly have a look at that. I then moved from doing that StarCraft stuff, had a bit of a break. I've always loved card games, which I can cover in my history of gaming and other things like that. I used to be a qualified Pokemon professor. I used to judge Pokemon card tournaments and help run Pokemon card tournaments many years ago. I was a European Professor champion at one point of the Pokemon trading card game as well. We'll save that for another day. But yeah, so that's how I got into Hearthstone. I've always loved Blizzard, I've always loved card games, got into Hearthstone. So again, if you filter the videos on this channel, and again, because Hearthstone new expansions released, the card game moves on. If you've, very much like Overwatch, you have a meta of different decks, cards, things that are strong. I did Hearthstone for a whole bunch of time. Some of the guys on the channel, on YouTube and on the Twitch know me from there and have watched for a couple of years. So before Overwatch, I did Hearthstone for a couple of years as well. So that's a bit about how and why I kind of started on YouTube. A couple of people asking, Soldier76 here, and others saying, do you have Asian roots? Are you Asian? Yep, I'm half Chinese, half English. Easy stuff. Okay, moving on to Overwatch. Killy Smith asks, who's your favourite hero? There were a lot of these kind of questions. Who's your favourite hero? What are the heroes you play most? What map do you like best? Perry Mouse says, what is your favourite hero in Overwatch lore-wise, favourite to play? One favourite hero is really hard in terms of play style. I love playing Pharah, and I also love playing Mercy and Lucio. Now, I love playing Pharah not because I'm necessarily that good with her, but because I've always loved playing games, arena shooters in my history. So I wasn't quite a quote player, but I played a lot of Unreal Tournament when I was younger at school and things like that, with the charging rocket launcher, with the flying around in the air, Unreal Tournament, going jump pads, zero gravity levels, flying around, like all of this kind of crazy stuff. So yeah, I really like Pharah for that reason. She reminds me a lot of playing Unreal Tournament when I was a lot younger, but we can save that for gaming history sometime. Mercy and Lucio, I played a lot of Team Fortress Classic and Team Fortress 1.5, so getting my dad 76 talking out, this was back from the day when Steam wasn't a store and it was only a patching agent for Team Fortress Classic. Before there was TFC. You can still, I think, if you go on your Steam, download Team Fortress 1.5, there are still active servers for it. Mercy and Lucio remind me movement-wise, they're not the same. But they are movement-wise. They remind me a lot of the offensive, the offy attacking movement. The Medic and Scout in Team Fortress Classic and 1.5, Medic in TF2, the Scout in TF2 are a shadow of the movement, the exciting, free-flowing, skillful movement that you could have with bunny hopping and concussion grenade jumping in Team Fortress Classic and 1.5. So I love those characters. I love Mercy's movement. It's unique. It's itself. I love Lucio's wall riding, that's really good fun. I love those characters because I used to play Offie, I used to play Medic and Scout style characters. Mercy and Lucio very much remind me of those. And yeah, so I'd say in terms of my favourite playstyle, I also love tanks, Xayah, Reinhardt and D.Va. So in terms of talking about my mains, what I play most, my favourite characters, certainly supports and tanks, and then Pharah is my outlying kind of DPS character, not because I'm amazing with her, but just because she brings back a lot of gaming memories for me, which is really, really good fun. The question is to who your favourite characters are lore-wise. That's a bit of a tough one. So I think you can divide that in two. There's current favourites, with what we know about them already, and then possible future favourites as to when we sort of learn more about the lore, what we can, who might be favourites in future. So I can kind of do it in both ways. I mean, I think there are some characters who are really interesting because of what we do know about them, and then some characters about, who could be really interesting as to what we will or could find out about them in future. So my favourite character based on what we know at the moment, in terms of lore, bit of a tough one. I quite like Ana's lore. Ana's lore is kind of cool, it's been thought out, she's got a bit of a story. It'll be interesting to see in future, how she reunites with Pharah and all of this kind of thing. She's pretty cool. Soldier 76, Morrison, there are some gaps that need filling, but we know quite a lot about the guy, and it seems as though that with the, soldier enhancement program that the US did, of course, that Morrison and Reyes came from, as well as his history with Reyes in Overwatch, Reyes and Blackwatch, and similar. It seems as though Morrison, Soldier 76, has got a lot to his story that we know already, but in future there's so much more that we could find out, and he's, he's a centerpiece of Overwatch. So yeah, from a big sort of storytelling perspective, he feels really, really cool. It'll be interesting to see where he goes, very much like him. In terms of future story, I think Reyes, Reaper, there are so many questions there. How did he become the way he is? What happened on that fateful day when the Overwatch Swiss head Q went bang, and this rumoured or confirmed, if you believe Olympia Shaw of Atlas News, confrontation between Morrison and Reyes and everything that happened there. Should we believe Reaper in Old Soldiers when he says to Ana, he left me to become like this, in sort of insinuated blaming of Morrison and things like that. So there's going to be some really cool things sort of happening there and similar as well. So yeah, I think favourites at the moment, quite like Ana, quite like 76. Favourites in future, Reaper. There are some characters I'd love to know more about. Mercy, I think that her science, being the head of medical research in Overwatch, we'll get to learn a lot about the world of Overwatch through the prism of Mercy, so I'm quite interested in her. D.Va and May, I'd like them to have more in-depth stories. Diva, you know, some people have a bit of a go at her for being a bit of a gaming stereotype and a meme. She's sort of self-deferential. She's a bit of a joke, a bit of fun, all that kind of stuff. I would very much like to see a bit more about her. Maybe she can be fleshed out. And you don't have to have all serious characters with big epic and tragic backstories. You know, you can have some sort of like more fun, chilled out characters and things as well. May's an interesting one. We don't really know much about May at the moment, beyond sort of a few bits about her diary and blog and things like that. It'd be interesting to revisit May in terms of her story. And then I think, you know, Reyes, so many big questions about him. What did Blackwatch do? Do all of these things that Olympia Shaw mentions, you know, the atrocities and things that Overwatch or Blackwatch committed, did Blackwatch commit them? Was this with Reyes' permission or not? Did he encourage this? Is he the big bad evil dude? How is he related to Talon? Is he working for them? Has he been working with them before? So many questions with Reyes, and a rich amount of story, as well as sort of, you know, how the relationship between him and Morrison also changed when Morrison became Strike Commander, and Reyes was given Blackwatch. Ana Amari was given second in command of Overwatch. So Reyes goes from being the commander of this Overwatch strike team, who brought an end to the first Omnic Crisis, to just being, well, not just, but he gets given covert ops. You know, he sort of goes from being the top dog to sort of third, and also, you know, in an area where, you know, he's working covert ops, and it's not as though he's the man in the limelight anymore. Morrison becomes this figurehead for Overwatch. Reyes is kind of doing all of Overwatch's kind of, I don't know, dirty work sort of kind of stuff, you know, wet work and things like that. So really interested in Reyes for the future. You asked a lore question. I could talk on about this a lot every single week. So yeah, maybe we should split that off into its own series or something like that. But yeah, favourite heroes covered from playing perspective, from lore perspective, and a whole bunch of other things. Do you play console as well? That was an Overwatch question that popped in from Nick Goodmanson. While my PC is out of action, I've ordered a new PC, by the way. That may be coming pretty soon. And just so you guys know, Voicelines will restart when that arrives, just because I need it to shoot some footage and things. But we're still going to be releasing videos this week, edited stuff, like the Lore of Overwatch's maps that you may have seen yesterday. If you're watching this not in September 2016, the link for that Overwatch map lore explaining a bit about all of the Overwatch maps and their story is below. So yeah, a little bit about plans there as well. But yeah, I've been playing console. I've got an Xbox One. I don't have a PS4. I'd love one in future. The Last Guardian, I'd love to give that a go. I love Project Ico and games like that kind of vein. So yeah, I do play on console, and you will be seeing a bunch of videos this week. Bad Pun Master says, if you could be a playable hero in Overwatch, what class would you be? What abilities would you have? And what kind of an ultimate would you have? Interesting. Don't say something like my ability would be to make an awesome YouTube video. Well, if I could press E and make a YouTube video, that would be absolutely wonderful. It would save me a lot of time. I would be I'd be defense or support. I'd like a different kind of light manipulation to Symmetra's. So at the moment we've got Symmetra, who's got this hard light toolkit, which is very much focused around short range construction as far as we've seen, although we've seen her project a bridge in her comic. I'd like to see some kind of hard light wielder that can sort of manipulate light at a further distance than Symmetra can. I'd like to see someone who can like throw it like arcs, you know, sort of almost like a mage kind of thing, like a hard light wielding mage. That's what I'd go for. Using the light to sort of temporarily blind everyone on the enemy team for 2 seconds or something. So some kind of ultimate where Lucio's got a sound barrier and he can protect his entire team in an active way if they're all grouped up. I like a way that, you know, if the entire enemy team are within a certain area, maybe it's a cone cast, or maybe it's a circular cast that you've got to place or something, you can try and blind a bunch of them. So as opposed to everyone being insulated from damage, like with Lucio's sound barrier, maybe you can do something proactive to debuff the enemy team. Jen Harper says, what one hero would you change in Overwatch and why? This is a tough one, because one of the questions is why would I change it, and what would I change it for? I would probably say, if it was coming to sort of competitive or things, I'd probably have a look at Bastion. Weirdly, I know a lot of people in Quick Play and similar hate Bastion if you can't deal with the Bastion, but Bastion just feels as though, you know, you see things like May, you see things like Diva, you see with some of the tweaks that Blizzard are making, some of these heroes coming into esports and competitive a bit more. There is no massive place for Bastion ever at the top levels of the game, and you can occasionally get away with him in competitive depending on what level you're at. He's only really a problem for quick play players or teams or individuals who do not team up and deal with him. So he feels as though he could do with a bit of tweaking. He's one of those heroes that's just kind of been left alone, but heroes that really just haven't had loads done since open beta. Bastion is one of them. So I'll be interested to see, not necessarily from a let's make him an esports character, but let's just see what could be done with him to maybe make him a bit more viable in a few different situations. And of course, with any buff and nerf and balance tweaking cycle, you'll have heroes who are great, heroes who are terrible. A.M.A, for example, is looking a little bit more strong recently and competitive and a bit of esports, seeing some play. You've seen divas jumping back in since the defense matrix style ability has been buffed and things. So let's see what happens with Bastion. I'd change him to see if we could get him a bit more competitive in different ways. Swayze, that's how I'm going to pronounce that one. Swayze says, what is your favourite skin in Overwatch? That's a pretty easy one. I like the Mercy skins. Devil and Mercy are pretty fun. I don't like it, but I admire the design of the Junkrat Scarecrow style skin. That's scary. That looks like something like straight out of nightmare films, like horror films or something. So really well designed, but you know, I respect it from a design point of view, but ooh, creepy stuff. Spoopy. Gaming history. So yeah, I thought with this one that I was actually planning for 50k to do a little bit of a video, but it could be very long. So as I said earlier, let me know whether you want a nice long video, one long video, or several short ones based on different games topics. So I could be like Warcraft and me, or Starcraft and me, or Star Wars Galaxies and me, Team Fortress Classic and me, that kind of stuff. Tackle Dan asks, what is your earliest memory of playing video games? Pikachu Mexicano, a few people mentioned sort of like childhood gaming memories. My earliest memory of games, I played Elite at some stage, and I cannot remember who or why that was with. I'll probably have to check with my parents. Maybe I was around someone's house. Either I watched someone playing Elite or I had a go on Elite myself. But I remember it was trying to land in Elite on, it was a Commodore, I think it was Commodore, on a space station, and this was like insanely hard. And if you played Elite Dangerous, you know that landing on a space station in Elite Dangerous now with wonderful graphics and joysticks and all of this kind of stuff and a real PC gaming rig, and back in the day, like landing on a space station in an original Elite, it was absolutely nuts. So yeah, probably that, but more sort of concrete early memories. Sonic the Hedgehog, NES playing of Super Mario Brothers, Game Boy playing of Super Mario Brothers as well. So lots of Nintendo in my early life, a bit of Sega, but primarily Nintendo as a kid for sure. And then in terms of when I got into PC gaming, it was Jurassic Park The Lost World, and then possibly Sim City, the original or something. But we can go into that in the history of gaming video. But there you go. What's your favourite video game? Asked Tyler Stott. That's a very, very hard one. Very hard indeed. Again, for different reasons. I think I'll go through that in history of gaming. I've got favourite FPSs and shooters. I've got favourite MMOs, and I've got favourite RPGs. So I definitely divide up my gaming in those kind of three areas, and then StarCraft sits away on its own because it's my favourite RTS. I'd probably say in terms of favourite RPG, Mass Effect and kind of sits up there pretty high. There are a bunch of others that I really enjoy as well. Favourite MMO, Star Wars Galaxies, and then that was replaced by World of Warcraft, which I play. Both of those I played for a very long time. World of Warcraft I still play a little bit today. Enjoying Legion as a filthy casual, but yeah, it's different times. I've put a lot of time in that game in the past. Favourite FPS is Team Fortress Classic, or team shooters as well, and shooters. Team Fortress Classic, GoldenEye on the N64. Unreal Tournament way back when. And then of course Overwatch, because that's why we're all here, but love it, really fun game. And Overwatch for me brings back elements of all of those things that I've just mentioned, as well as a lot more, lots of memories from those games. I think that's a selection of favourite games, but yeah, we can go through those. I could talk for 10 minutes, 15 minutes on each of those on its own. So yeah, we'll save the big Ad 76 style Hammeh rant for another time. I'm going to call this Giz. Giz says, what is your past experience with Blizzard games, StarCraft, Warcraft, Diablo, Lost Vikings, and do you still play any of those games? So I kind of just covered that a little bit. But StarCraft, I played original StarCraft when it released. So StarCraft has been a big part of my gaming life, and then it's one of the reasons I started YouTubing and things. Warcraft, I actually only got into Warcraft Confession with World of Warcraft. I was never a Warcraft player. I always played StarCraft. Diablo, again, I played some Diablo 2, I think, a little bit, but kind of not hugely played Diablo. So StarCraft and Warcraft are where I've been at. Played Lost Vikings, I believe, on the SNES and a few different places as well. Definitely ran into Lost Vikings as a kid. But yeah, I'd probably say I'm primarily, if you look at my Blizzard history, StarCraft and then World of Warcraft a lot from vanilla onwards. Miss Karina T says, what was your first Blizzard game? Which is your favourite? And what have you dedicated the most hours to? I think covered most of those. First was StarCraft, pretty sure. Favourite? Don't make me choose. I'm not going to choose now. Which have I devoted the most hours to? Definitely World of Warcraft. 100% World of Warcraft. A lot of time spent on that in the past. Georgia Bulldog says, have you ever played TF2? And if so, what are your opinions on the whole Overwatch is TF2 thing? Yes, I have. As I mentioned, I played a lot of TFC. The simple way of wrapping this up without going into a video on it separately is Overwatch is not TF2. In the same way, it's too easy to look at a game and say this is another X or this is another Y or this is taking elements from Z. I think it's easy to judge very similar games. So like if you took an Overwatch and Battleborn and two things out at a similar time, stick them alongside each other, people make those kind of comparisons very easy, and sometimes perhaps they shouldn't either. But Overwatch is not TF2. In the same way for me, TF2 is not TFC, different kinds of shooter, but Counter-Strike is not an Unreal Tournament or anything. You've got arena shooters, you've got team-based shooters, you've got class-based shooters, obviously, which is the Overwatch and TF2 comparison, but they're not the same, and they both have good things about them, and they both have enjoyable things about them as well. Like I said, Team Fortress runs in my blood. I love TF2. I never really got into TF2 esports in the way that way back when Dad76 style I was playing. I played amateur competitive Team Fortress Classic and Team Fortress 1.5 very averagely at best. So that was my amateur attempt at esports a while ago. But again, we can say that for gaming history. That'll be a fun thing to chat about. So I can chat about that for absolutely ages. Channel plans. Okay, so this is the channel plans section. A few of you had like random channel questions. Johan says, is it possible to see you on podcasts like Overchat on the Unit Lost channel? So there's two things there. One of them is me. Sometimes I stick my head down a bit and I'm just editing, and when you're sort of a one-man band or things like that, it's very easy to get your head down and just focus on getting videos out and things like that and not chat with the people around you. I would love to go on podcasts and things like that, and then there's two things. It's one, me having a chat with people and seeing if my services are required or my opinion would be interesting or useful. And don't forget, with podcasts, a lot of people work together closely on a podcast. So for example, people work together and they team up and they do it on a regular basis and they start getting to know each other and bantering back and forth. Sometimes it's easier, I guess, if you're running something like that, to bring in a guest rather than have someone doing it permanently, and sometimes it's just better to stick with the normal people. So I'd love to do them. I can certainly, if there's anything that you think you'd like to see me try and get involved with, please do let me know in the comments below. And my promise is that I will fire a few emails and fire a few shout outs to people on Twitter and things, and so if it makes sense for them and if it makes sense for me, and if it's going to be something fun, and if when I say meant sense, is it going to produce something that everyone's going to enjoy? Because if so, then yeah, I'd love to do it. Rock Entertainment says, would you do Overwatch with viewers, upload parts of your stream? For sure. So streaming, as I've mentioned in a few channel updates and things like that, I can't do it sort of regularly as well as YouTube. A lot of people say that my voice is quite quiet when you hear it on microphone, but when I'm recording like this, I'm actually quite loud, and I don't want to be causing loads of noise for my wiser half all the time and things like that. So it's a little bit to do with sort of my recording environment and things like that, so why I can't stream a whole bunch. And also, to be honest, in terms of making good YouTube videos, I find that streaming takes a chunk of time if you want to do it really well and do it like a really engaging and fun stream. Some of you might have seen, for example, I did the Blizzard Streaming Week when I was featured on the Blizzard launcher, which was loads of fun, really enjoyed it. That cut into my video editing time quite a bit, and when I do these long 10-15 minute or longer edited Voicelines, hero interactions, lore videos, and things like that, it'd be really hard for me to spend 4 or 5 hours streaming and do a good stream, and then spend 8-10 hours in a day, I'm trying to make a really, really good YouTube video as well. If I stream, I can certainly do that. And then I think another few people mentioned was also, can you just record some of you playing ranked games and commentate over and things like that? Yeah, I'm totally happy to do that. I can do a few of those. I don't want to do too many of those because I prefer doing like the longer edited lore stuff, and I know that's what you guys enjoy. But yeah, I can certainly do some of those, so no problem, Rock. Last but not least, we've got the random section. Emil David Decat says, am I the only one who thinks you look like a friendlier version of Jango Fett? Now, I did a double take at this. He says, just typing Jango Fett into a Google image search. And then I thought, well, actually, you know what? I kind of know what he means. So on the YouTube video, when I edit this, I'm going to put a picture of Jango Fett like here. So as to whether anyone else thinks that, Emil, that's entirely up to you. Let me know in the comments below. I thought about it. And I was like, what does he mean? And then I was like, actually, yeah, I can kind of understand what you're talking about there. So yeah, up to you guys. Let Emil know what you think in the comments below about that one. Okay, that was a very long A.M.A. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your questions. I really enjoyed answering those questions. Thank you very much for leaving them. I might do sort of a mailbag. I might do sort of some kind of maybe monthly, maybe every 2 weeks kind of Q&A where it's just sort of talking about Overwatch, talking about other things. Maybe it'll be a replacement of the channel updates. But if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, please do let me know in the comments below, and we can save them for next time. We can save them for the next vid I do, be it an update vid or something else, or monthly sort of updates, questions and answers, maybe a mailbag video or something like that too. So thank you so much for tuning in. Big thanks again for all of the 50k support, for all of the subs, views. Thank you for your patience as well, waiting for the hero voice lines and interactions and lore videos. Lore videos are ramping up. I've got loads of ideas. We are going to be trying some new things as well in the next couple of weeks, trying a few little lore bites and things for a few different games. So keep an eye out for those. Let me know what you think. And if you like them and you want to see more of them, please do just vote with your feet, watch them, share them. It really helps me work out what you guys, and indeed to a lesser degree the rest of YouTube, also want to see me making and focusing on, so I can spend my time making the best possible stuff for you. And in terms of 50k celebrations, I will be doing the Life of Gaming, My Life in Gaming video. Do let me know whether you'd like that to be one longer video or lots of little short videos on different games. I've mentioned a whole bunch of games that I've played, love and enjoy in this A.M.A. So if there's any particular games you'd like to hear about my experience of, or what I've enjoyed, how I've played, and my sort of history with them, again, just let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do keep an eye out over the next week or so as I get my new PC for Hero Voicelines Lore and Interactions restarting again. Some trial videos. I'll make a little labs playlist for different games lore that we'll be giving a go, and a few other fun things too. Cheers for tuning in. Really, really good to see you, and hopefully see you soon. Take it easy.